Oh, hey, hi, hoi, 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 me noi. Hi, everybody. Hello. Hi. Hi. You guys hear me? Everything's working? Everything's functioning? Hello! It's Tuesday. And I'm still reeling from last night. For anybody who wasn't here last night, we had some conversations with biologist Dr. Dan from the YouTube channel Creation Myths. And, he was lovely and fantastic, and he told us about Jensen, who is awful in every way, shape, or form. I just got out of the shower, as you can see. Yes, we are live on Twitch, and we are also live on YouTube. So, if you're over on Twitch, hi, welcome Twitch. Welcome to the Tuesday show, which was called the Tuesday show, which kind of just developed into the shit show. Thank you so much for coming. If you're on YouTube, thank you also so much for coming, as that is where I normally am to be found. So, I didn't know what to call today's stream because I have a lot of different junk to kind of talk about. We're also like 2 away from the follower goal on Twitch, so that's really great. So I figured I'd just kind of take advantage of being able to still stream on both until that 50 hits. Once that 50 hits, I'm not sure. Apparently there's a loophole on Twitch that you're allowed to stream on Twitch and YouTube as long as you're not playing games. And since I'm only serious here and this is a no fun zone, there will be no games being played. You got it. So I can see all the chats and everything looks like it's functioning, so that's all good and lovely and fantastic, and hopefully you guys will be able to see and hear everything. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on Twitter today. I'm going to show you guys what I have so many different things to kind of just touch on today that I wasn't really sure where to start. So where I'm going to start is with what I woke up with today, which was this. I tweeted this out last night at 1:30 in the morning, my time, as you can see. Babies are atheists. Therefore, if you're an atheist, you're a baby. Checkmate. Clearly I was, no, Rez, no. That's the Twitch channel, for anybody who's interested. So... Clearly, apparently the giant capital letters of checkmate didn't clue people in that I was kidding, because apparently that's a thing. If you'd like to lurk on Twitch, you are welcome to lurk on Twitch. Listen, I'm doing this to make it easier for you guys to follow and participate or lurk in whatever way is easiest for you. So whatever works for you works fine for me. You might also notice that my I forgot about that. Thank you so much for the follow. I forgot about the notifications. It's Helios. Thank you, Helios. Greatly appreciated. I forgot about the notifications. I forgot those were a thing. Dear God. Alright. Now that I've put that in a place where I'm going to be able to see it easier. There. Lovely. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. The angle of the camera is also a little bit different. As you may be able to tell, I have actually just raised all my stuff up a little bit. Realistically, if I wanted it to be realistic, I need like another 10 books, and then that would be the most accurate. Oh, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. Any little bit helps. Liking, sharing, subscribing. Sharing is fantastic. Following, great, wonderful. If you have a Twitch Prime subscription, it will soon be able to be utilized here. But for now, I just appreciate that you guys are here having a good time with me. Thank you so much. All right. If I sound like I'm a little bit overwhelmed, I'm probably not. Thank you for the first time chat, Helios. Yes, you can troll me with the notifications, yes. That is an option. Alright. So I tweeted this, and apparently the big check... Does anybody still use checkmate seriously anymore? I have not seen anybody use this term in forever. Like, forever. The last time I saw it was on Reddit sarcastically. Apparently not. Apparently, this is big serious. So much so that this was probably one of my favorites. At least this one's better than rocks are atheist, therefore babies are rocks. Right? That follows. Jesus was a baby, and if babies are atheists, Jesus was an atheist. Double checkmate. Right? They got it. They got it. Babies are pure, unsullied by the lies of religion. Oy vey, atheists don't have state and government sanctioned imaginary friends. Babies can't be in government, that's a place for toddlers. Babies are neutral in all caps. Seriously, the clean truth. People actually took this seriously. And man, I don't know. Men are human, therefore if you are human, you are a man. Checkmate, am I doing this right? Yes, you are. Just about as faulty logic as you can get. Congratulations. Socrates is a man, therefore if you are a man, you are Socrates. Checkmate, Aristotle. Heracles, welcome, I'm glad you made it. Neutral equals agnostic. Right, neutral? What does if you're talking about logic and philosophy, what is neutral? I think the technical term that is used, if I'm remembering correctly, and you'll have to go double check with Trolley Dave and Answers and Reason, or maybe Bearded Heretic, and you tell me if I got the terminology right. I'm pretty sure the term is innocence, or ignorant. They babies don't have an opinion on the matter. They're babies. Christians eat Christ's flesh and drink his blood. Eating human flesh is cannibalism. Drinking blood is vampirism. And consuming a god is blasphemy. Thus, Christians are cannibalistic vampires whose existence is a blasphemy to God. And I'm glad, some people started picking up on the joke, right? This one I liked. Bats are blind, therefore if you are blind, you are a bat. Yes. Logic really... Thank you, Kathy. Logic really isn't your strength, is it? Babies aren't atheist, they're neutral. No one has filled their head with inanity yet. Forcing ideas on small kids who cannot yet reason for themselves is criminal. Ooh. You mean like any ideas? Does that include sharing? Does that include, treat your neighbor as you should treat yourself? Does that include, any idea? I don't think that's how that works. I love cannibalistic vampire. Yeah, that's a good one. Can I abuse my mod powers and make Heracles make me some tea? Yeah, that's fine with me. As long as you get me one too. I'm drinking water right now. I already had a tea today. The number... Okay, so ideas are kind of a large topic, right? Lots of things are ideas. Some ideas would be considered good and some ideas would be considered bad, depending on who you are and when the idea is brought forth. You want, a complicated idea that sometimes has, that is debated a lot? Euthanasia? Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? I don't know. Do I look like a professional to you? This is stupid. This is dumb. This is philosophy being very, very, very dumb. Ideas are concepts. You have, the colors are ideas. Do you not let your children draw, Kathy? What are you doing? Logic isn't my strong suit, though, so it's okay. Breaking that and finding reason requires intelligence. Checkmate? Jeez. I'm gonna explain a little bit more about why I'm looking at these in a minute. Babies are human, therefore if you're a human, you are a baby. Yahtzee! The funniest thing is you're so clueless, you're not in the least bit aware of how incredibly vapid you must be to believe this is how logic works. There's another guy in here who we can't even see what he said because he blocked me. That's how mad people got about this. I got retweeted into an entire thread, crazy big thread. This is kind of like a discussion thread, and it is so nuts that It was like they tagged me in saying, "Hey, if this is you think this is true, go get professional help." And I thanked the person for adding me because that thread is an absolute gold mine. I'm gonna go through it a little bit more like at a later date, and then maybe bring you guys along for that journey. But we're not looking at that one today. Euthanasia? Yeah. So okay, here's the thing. Sadly, this is logic. Logic follows rules, right? And there are different types of logic, but we're not going to get into that. For now, this is just, it's faulty logic. The logic follows, but it's sound, but it's not valid, right? So it goes along the lines of I think most of the people who follow me know this. But if I say, cats are assholes, I have a cat, therefore my cat is an asshole, that's sound logic. Is it valid? No, you can obviously have a cat who is not an asshole, and the reason that it is not valid is because the initial premise is faulty. Oh, did I get it backwards? Is it valid but not sound? I can't remember which way it goes. I always get those backwards. The irony is people accusing someone of lacking logical reasoning because the joke went way over their head. Checkmate, I guess. Yeah, the joke was lost in translation. But the sad thing is the lack of understanding of how logic functions. Something being logical does not inherently mean it's correct. These are different concepts. These are different ideas. You know, those things you apparently can't give to children, otherwise you're a criminal. Like, that's illogical, because that doesn't make any sense, because it's implying and inherently saying that an idea is bad. It makes no sense. A non-asshole cat is pure fantasy. Right. So there's something special about being told how illogical you are over by the logic and reason people who are like, no, logic is the only thing that matters, being so emotionally attached that they can't handle a joke or even reason out that something might be a joke at all. It's valid if the conclusion comes from the premise. It's sound if the valid and the premise are true. Then which one's the one that means that the premise isn't true but the logic follows? So it's like, because the logic here follows, it's just not, it's not, the premise is faulty from the get-go. Because that's a whole other thing. I've forgotten the name of it. Oh, somebody was nice enough to send me the screenshots of what the blocked person told me. Okay, sure. Let's look. Let's grab it. I got it. Whoop. There we go. So, beyond the Crusades, worms are animals. Faulty premise. Therefore, if you're an animal, you're a worm. Chesh logic. I like how their picture looks like a giant dick. But yeah, no, that's not how that works, good sir and or madam. So, what? Yeah, all you would say is that your premise is faulty, right? Valid versus sound. Valid. Right. So it's valid, but okay, yeah. So I had it right. I had it backwards. Right terminology, backwards placement. I got it. Logic can be valid if the premise is right. Is that not what I said? Did I say that it was sound but not valid, but it's valid but not sound? Is that what I did? Needless to say, I'm not very good at this logic thing. I guess they were right about me the whole time. Ah, shit. Here's the... Here's the other one. Let me show you this one too. You're not very good at this logic stuff, are you? No, I'm not. Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes would be too fast. I would catch it. So anyway, A few people had a giggle at this person. They got a couple of responses about how they didn't know what they were talking about, and then they blocked everybody. Oh, I don't know if they blocked everybody. They blocked me. Maybe I need a philosopher co-host. Nah. Like a logical fallacy, yeah. Logic is valid, but the premises are false, and thus the argument is unsound. Okay, yeah, so the logic is valid, but it's not sound. I thought that's what I said. Did I say it backwards? The logic can be sound if you shout really, really loud. Okay, alright, shut up, you guys. We're done with this. We're done with this. Anyway, I just thought, I woke up, and this was the first thing. And this was getting retweeted, and I'm like, wow, how did I piss everybody off? Here, read this. If you think it's true, get help immediately. Yeah, see, they got it. Andrew Chapman got me. He understood. Generic minority came in. My grandma told me all babies are Southern Baptist. Oh, I don't know what this is. What's this one? Where's this one going? Oh, I think this is the mega thread that I was talking about. Like, look at this. It just... Jesus Christ. It's been going for a while. Everyone has a crotch and wears underwear. I think that's a faulty premise. Get a Joe or Dave. You said it back. Did I say it backwards? I'll believe you if I said it backwards. I'll take your word for it. I will allow you to gaslight me. I thought that's what I said, but it's likely that I said it absolutely backwards. It's totally fine. But yeah, that thing keeps on going up. So anyway, that was that. I got a kick out of it. I thought you guys would enjoy the Logic Bros being very upset because they got very emotionally attached to my joke. Big Logic, much wow. Alright, this one's about Destiny, but before we get to that one, Sesame Street's apparently launching NFTs because they didn't want to ruin it enough by getting rid of Oscar the Grouch, or didn't want to ruin it enough by the Cookie Monster saying things like, you know, vegetables are good. That's just not what the Cookie Monster's about, and I'm personally bothered by this. I feel personally attacked. Apparently Cookie Monster digital collectibles at $60 each. So let's take a look, shall we? Sesame Street Workshop is introducing the first digital collectibles based on the iconic Sesame Street Kids brand. The first NFTs from their initiative will feature Cookie Monster, the beloved blue cookie friend from the show, with the initial drop scheduled for March 19th on the VV Digital Collectibles app. There will be one Cookie Monster NFT collectible with 5,555 editions for sale, priced at $60 each. According to Sesame Street Workshop, additional Sesame Street collectibles will be released later this year. And then it goes to explain stupid NFT shit as if it's like fucking... We'll breeze this real quick. NFTs are unique identifiers that verify ownership of digital content. The craze for NFT collectibles kicked off in the early 2021 and has continued since. Oh yeah? Has it? Hey, good to see you. A number of studios, TV networks, sports leagues, and athletes, actors, musicians, arts, gaming companies, and more have launched NFT initiatives looking to generate revenue and engage with fans. Me want non-fungible I swear to God, if Cookie Monster ever says this, I will flip a bird. Like, I will lose my absolute fucking mind. Alright, so who owns Sesame Street Workshop? Just because I like to do... Oh, you suck. I like to find out, like, when something like this happens, I like to try to find out who's actually in charge. So, can we find out who's in charge? Okay, there's a Wikipedia. Usually the Wikipedias are pretty good for stuff like this. American originally known as Children's Television Workshop, is an American non-profit organization that is responsible for the production of several educational children's programs, blah, 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 blah. Okay, founders, American experimental psychologist with career in education, communications, and philanthropy, and CUNY, American television writer, producer. Okay, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Who's the current owner? President Sherry Weston. And the CEO, Steve Youngwood. Okay, these are what I'm looking for. So let's see if we can grab these. Oh boy. Bro, you got a Wikipedia? You got a wiki? Yo, who is this man? Doesn't even have a Wikipedia. Okay, Chief Executive Officer of Sesame Street Workshop. What else has he worked on? He's got a LinkedIn. Go away. New York, New York. Did he go like straight out of University Stanford, straight into Sesame Street? Damn. Global executive who loves to build and manages businesses at the intersection of media, content, and technology. Broad-based media expert, including digital, mobile, TV, education, print, video, gaming, consumer products, and retail, both in the capacity as a business leader is a highly regarded core strength, blah, blah, blah. Activity. What do you... 8 years. Chief executive. Advisory board. What is this? GSV Ventures? What the hell are you? What is this? How did he get advisor so fast? Where did he, like... Viacom? Oh, fucking Viacom. He's a summer associate at Disney. Okay. Okay, I don't know if I need to know much more than Viacom. Yippee fucking skippy. Alright. So we got that guy. Who's this person? Sherry Rollins Weston, an American businesswoman. She's the president of Sesame Workshop, blah, 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 blah. University of Virginia. Director of Communications at Oliver Carr Company Real Estate Development. Okay. Chair of Joan Gans Cooney Center, independent research and innovation lab named for Sesame Street's founder. She serves on the board of the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, Communities in Schools, and Vital Voices Global Partnership. She's a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, the U.S. Afghan Women's Council, the Early Childhood Peace So this lady is on, like, the chair of and on the board of a bunch of initiatives. I kind of wish we knew a little bit more about her, because this is, like, political consultant and advisor who worked on several high-profile Republican political campaigns in the United States in 1983 and 1984. National campaign director for the successful Bush-Reagan administration in 1984 campaign. And anchor of Bloomberg. Oh no. Oh, sorry, 1 second. I gotta get the door. Ugh. I'm only breaking shit. Don't worry about it. Alright, guys. I think we know where the NFTs are coming from. Guys, I think we figured it out. The people who run Sesame Street are a bunch of Republicans. Reagan-era Republicans. And fucking Bloomberg. Oh, God. Alright. Well, thanks. I think we figured out the secret. Don't Republicans hate PBS? You would think. You would think. So, surprise, 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 surprise. Are NFTs atheist? Oh, probably. Sorry, excuse me, I'm sitting on my legs and I shouldn't be, but I'm doing it anyway. Alright, so now we know what's happened to Sesame Street and what is happening to Sesame Street and probably what's going to happen to Sesame Street in the future. The Van Wolf said at this point, the only thing keeping NFTs alive is the out-of-touch execs thinking it's still relevant. Yes. Yes, you are. I don't know if you know how right you are. Oh, Buck? Can you see him? He's right below the thing. Hold on. Hi, buddy. Buck. Ah, boop. Very cute. Alright. Well, he wants to be left alone. How can we make this free educational and cultural enrichment for children profitable at all costs? Yeah, that's the thing. It's a non-profit, so what the hell, like, are they making NFTs for charity? Like, what? What? Okay. I'm gonna, let's get out of this one. Variety. Okay. This one, since we were talking about atheists earlier, David Silverman, if for anybody who doesn't know who David Silverman is, he used to be a pretty prominent, outspoken atheist activist. As far as I know, he did take a break, but if I'm not mistaken, he is kind of beginning to return to activism now. And that's what he's talking about here. He tends to be right-leaning, at least, if not all the way right. I don't want to overstate his positions on him. I've talked to him a couple of times. He's always been nice to me personally, but I don't know. Some of his ideas are pretty confusing as to why he thinks them. So, if I create a non-woke atheist convention focusing on atheist activism and fun, starring notable canceled speakers and stars, would you be very interested, somewhat interested, not interested? Now that's like a pretty definitive poll, and these are people who follow him, so that's pretty definitive for his follower base to not be interested in that. I'd be curious to know his definition for woke, and I would be curious to know his definition of canceled. So, like, I would love to have, like, a mini conversation with him about this at some point, maybe, if that were ever possible. Or, like, I mean, I'm just speculating, but are we gonna see, like a Michael Nugent? Or are we gonna see, like, who are we gonna see? Surely not Matt Dillahunty. Surely not. But, like, who's J.K. Rowling? Is J.K. Rowling a prominent atheist who's been canceled? I guess... Vic Mignogna and J.K. Rowling. Oh my god. It's kind of implying that if it's woke, it's not fun, which I can kind of understand why people would have that take. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with it, but I can kind of understand where it's coming from. But I don't. I don't know, man. Non-woke atheist convention. Yeah, it kind of implies that it's just gonna be right-leaning in that case. But you don't need either woke or, like, conservative or liberal to have conversations about atheist activism, because atheist activism should pretty much only entail the separation of church and state. And instead of trying... so I think there was a mistake that happened once upon a time, and it was that there was this push to get atheists in government positions, which I don't think is inherently a good idea, not because I think that atheists would be bad at it, but because I think if you want to focus on the separation of church and state, then you need to focus on the separation of church and state, which means that your political affiliation should be irrelevant to your chances at winning a running or to your lawmaking, right? It should be irrelevant, so that the point would be to remove it, not put more in, right? So if you're not separating church and state if you're trying to get an atheist into a political position, right? Now, it is possible that it's one of those things where you need to do, like, one step at a time, where it's like, we need to get atheists in, and then we can start doing that. That maybe that was a plan. I don't know. I'm not friends with these people. I'm not part of these groups. I have no idea what their plans were. But to me, it seems like it would be an easier and a better push to draw that separation of church and state line and make your political affiliation independent of your religious affiliation, which I can also understand is a very, very, very difficult thing to do in America. In America, it's like a fucking nightmare shit show. It's not as bad here. There are some things here that are about it, but we don't have, like, a Christian party, right? Like, we don't have, like, oh, if you're a Christian, you have to vote, you're voting along party lines of this very Christian conservative group. Like, that's not how it works here. So your religion is, the worst I think we saw is, Singh is he a Sikh? I think he's the leader of the NDP right now. I enjoy his most of his policies that he's trying to push forward, but I do know that there were people who were not voting for him because of his religious affiliation. They had some unfounded concerns. We'll put it that way. So I'm just going to catch up on chat real quick. Basically asking about invitations to the Atheism Minus Convention. If NFTs are good enough for Trump, they're good enough for the Cookie Monster? How dare you? How dare you bring this? Can we just get all of the Trump NFTs and put Cookie Monster's face on them? Because that'd be pretty great. New atheism is basically religion. Richard Dawkins and Harris promote it the most. Really? Because I've heard the opposite about Richard Dawkins. From my understanding, Richard Dawkins was recommending and personally staying away from, like, the New Atheism Plus stuff, because he didn't like the direction the groups were headed in. But that's just what I heard, so I don't know. Vandalia said, so no Chesh for Canadian Prime Minister anytime soon. Listen, alright, I have considered poking around politics a little bit, locally, and, like, on a bigger scale, just because I'm curious. I'm a curious little kitty cat, and I want to see what's going on, and see if there's, like, I'm gonna see if I can press some buttons, alright? So, if I run for Prime Minister, I'm going to have to ask all of you to go and get the word out to any Canadians you know. It's crazy that Germany's main party is Christian democracy. There's no separation in that name. One of the main parties, yeah. I mean, not every place is the same. Not everybody's got the same kind of shtick, I guess, to be fair. It's not like, I don't know. I'm not the most familiar with the German politics. Secular activism. Atheist activism would be trying to argue for atheism, you think? You think so? I don't know. I think that's a fair question, though. Kind of like, so what is atheist activism? Like, what are the goals? I would imagine one of their goals is separation of church and state, but are they going to go and advocate for atheism? Are they going, like, is this a group of people that would essentially become the equivalent of like, evangelical atheists? Like, what does that even look like? Ah, Goblin Hide, I got disqualified. Ah. Anyone who uses the word woke and canceled seriously has never had real fun. This sounds like it would be the equivalent to a Mormon birthday party, but less Jesus talk, maybe. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Not a big fan of voting for someone on their demographic. Yeah. If you think believing in souls and devils is bonkers, it makes sense to want public servants not to believe in that crap. But policy is king. New atheism is just being vocal about atheism. Religion isn't synonymous with any belief. This is true. Old atheism is where you keep quiet about atheism so theists aren't offended. Oh, okay, well. Ernie for 5 says, thanks for improving my day, Chesh. Oh, I'm glad I helped improve your day. That's what this shit is about. It's definitely not meant to annoy, bother you, or upset you, or get you frustrated about the dumb shit that going on in the world, like NFT Cookie Monster. I don't know. I mean, you can't really take that seriously, right? Like, nobody's gonna go out here and take Google Indian... Okay. Alright, well, I'll do that later. Thanks for chatting. Leave me a comment. I will try to remember to do that. What am I looking for? What am I looking for if I Google that? Here in the UK, the head of state is also the head of the church. Yeah, that's a thing. That's, yep, those are things. So, and I mean, those are problems in the world. Alright. We do have a news show for stuff like this, but I'll check it now and maybe add it to that show. I will Google it now. What am I gonna get? Oh, the caste system in India. Yo, yes. The caste system in India is a whole thing. Yeah, that's a whole shtick. Manya is probably the best to talk about that. We should actually do that. We should have an episode of Manya coming on and just explaining the caste system in India. I'm annoyed, bothered, and upset now. Good. Landon said good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zone and latitude, from your astronomer guide to our favorite universe. Welcome back, Landon. I hope you're having a good day. Landon's going to be with us on Thursday to watch more Ken Ham and Bill Nye and drink. Surely there will be no hangovers this time. We'll see if we can get more than 10 minutes in. Can you watch YouTube vids here for context? Yeah, I can watch YouTube videos. Yeah, if we're gonna cover the Indian caste system, we need to have Manya here for it. I would be remiss to not have her, and I think it would be irresponsible to not have her. So I'll make a note for that one, Chintu, and we'll hopefully I said your name right, and we'll get her on to talk about that. All right, so away from David Silverman. Okay, this was amazing. But also really sad, and we're going to talk about why. So I'm going to play this, and then we'll talk about it.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
I think the women will rise up.
That's the activist.
That's Jane
speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just kidding.
Don't say that. That's
you don't know. They'll pick up on that and just run with it.
Worst.
She's just kidding.
Well, let me talk to you about. Let's move on and talk about Jane's activism, which is legendary.
So, not only is this kind of funny, but it's also kind of sad. She was not kidding. For anybody who doesn't know who we're talking about, this is Jane, who is a Black Panther. That's her there. This is her here in Cleveland. The girl has been around. She was not joking. And, alright, so there's a couple things here, but I do want to pause on her face of being like, well, there's murder. And it's just like, I feel like none of these women know. Look at her face. She's like, I'm not kidding. I am not joking. And like, right here, and this makes me upset. She is like, she just got completely shut down on The View. And she is somebody who was like at the forefront marching when, like, to get shit done. When she says murder as an example, like, oh, what else could we do? Force change. The same way you have, like, a civil war. Like, people die in these scenarios. And there comes a point where you have to start asking the question, if not, well, we can march, well, we can do that. Well, and she's like, well, we could do more than that. We did do more than that back in the day, and it was necessary. If we didn't do it, nothing would have ever changed. And so you have to start drawing lines about when does violence become acceptable. We go to war all the time, and those are considered acceptable. And so all these women sitting around this table completely shut down and then went on to praise her. And it's like, what are you talking about? So you're happy that somebody has to go do the dirty work. You just don't want to be responsible for it or make that kind of decision, and then shut down the people who did that dirty work and made those changes that you're benefiting from? If you don't accept that violence has happened in the past as a way to elicit change in society, and try to pretend that that's not an option, that can't happen, I think you're doing a disservice to the activism of the past. It's not like Malcolm X was exactly like the peace, harmony, friendly kind of guy. He was like, no, we show up in the streets and we show every American's allowed to have a weapon, show up with a weapon. What do you think the Black Panthers were? Like, hello? No. Now, I'm not advocating for this, because we all have to be careful, because if you advocate for anything like this, you're going to get yourself in big fucking trouble. But do I think that there is a conversation to be had about where you draw lines? Absolutely. And I think that's a conversation that is surrounded by your own personal values. At what point is defending your rights something worth fighting and killing over? Would you kill for your right? And yeah, I do agree some of the chats are going on, it wouldn't be considered murder. Well, it would have at the time. Right? It's only after the fact that it was considered not murder. Right? It's only there are exceptions that are put in after the fact, right? Black Panthers were the reason for the assault weapon ban, funny enough. Oh, exactly. So I had this conversation with Egghead and or not this particular conversation, but I had a conversation about guns with Egghead and Jeff Holiday. And part of that conversation was, if you want to deal with things like homelessness, people are going to be a lot more interested in dealing with that if all the homeless people have guns, because now they're a threat, and not like a threat to an individual. Now they're like a threat, period. And if they're like, we have guns and we want houses, well, okay. I'd go for a Klondike bar. Yeah, there you go. And so I think the thing that I thought, you gotta fight for your right to party. Yeah. There was something about this that was sad to me, because they have a historical icon, they're praising her, and then when she brings up the tough questions, they try and water and whitewash it all down into that, oh, protests. Yeah. And nothing else. The Black Panthers definitely did not all carry weaponry and stand peacefully outside of government buildings on steps. Do you agree that people have a right to defend themselves and have the right to, what is it, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment? Like, what is it, liberty, freedom, and opportunity or something like that? I'm Canadian. Forgive me. But it's totally fine and to praise and say all these people have fought for your right to freedom, so sit down and shut up. That's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. Anyway, I feel bad for her that she just got, like, just shit on while they were praising her. The people at the View are cowards. I mean, it is kind of not exactly the right kind of show to be having that conversation on, admittedly. But they still didn't have to be fucking dicks to her. Ah, maybe that's just me. What do I know? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts, though. What do you think about where's the line of defending your rights or the rights of other people? What is acceptable? Where do you draw the line? I mean, coups? Do you draw the line at the people who stabbed Julius Caesar? You draw the line at, like, what was it, King Louis III, the French Revolution? What do you think a societal revolution is? If there's an oppressor and then people being oppressed, what do you think happens? So she's talking about abortion in this clip, just for context. And she's saying, like, no, women have had rights to do this, and we're not going to give up our right. And they're like, yeah, we'll protest and stuff. And she's like, this is the situation where you start saying you deserve to lose your right because you're not willing to fight for it, and people are trying to take it away from you. And you have to have enough determination, enough power to hold on to whatever it is that you want or that you have. And if you're not willing to fight for what you have to keep it when people are trying to take it away from you, do you deserve it? Do you deserve to keep it? And these are difficult questions, and there's a lot of moral outrage about having these kinds of questions, and there's a lot of ethics are complicated because it's great if you live in an ideal world, you ought to never have to, like, unalive anybody. But we don't live in an ideal world. We don't live in an ethical world or society. So what? Yeah, what do people think the American Revolution was? Right. History is bloody and dark. And anytime there's major changes, what do you think happens? People got mad about some tea and politely told King George K. bye. Right, exactly. The American Revolution was a war between soldiers. The problem in America is that people talk the talk of altruism and fighting for right. When it comes time to get dirty, they don't want to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. Ironically, they have Miss Frizzle on stage. That's sad. That's a good point. If America started murdering random Brits, it wouldn't be viewed as quite so heroic. No, it would still be viewed as heroic, because it's America telling the history, and the Americans were the ones that won. Listen, no matter what America has done in the past, right, America puts it forward as a positive and heroic thing, unless they are directly called out and exposed otherwise. I absolutely recommend looking up what was I just talking about? Not the Congo. I just talked about this with Barry and Seamus on their podcast. We just recorded it last week, and I've already forgotten the name of it. Hold on, where's my phone? I lost my phone. I lost all my stuff. I don't know where I am. I don't know what year it is. Hold on, let me look it up, because I've forgotten it and it's important. To me. I think it's important. Guatemala. The Guatemalan coup in 1954. So if you look up the Guatemalan coup of 1954 and how this was put forward and how it was presented to the public via the PR machine, no matter what it is or what's happening, like America turning on Saddam, who they put there, like they're gonna, no matter what, it's going to be viewed as, or at least presented as something heroic. Even World War II, but hey, that's just like my opinion, man. So either way, you're gonna have, like, look at what Tucker Carlson is doing right the fuck now. He's trying to whitewash the January 6th insurrection attempt. Right? Like, he's trying to whitewash it and say, oh, they were just going on tour with a police escort. And it's like, what the fuck, bro? No? What are you talking about? That the January 6th was also framed as something heroic by some people. They're like, they were standing up for their rights. And it's like, the fuck they were. And so you can pick and choose about what you decide is actually people standing up for their rights or not. And you may or may not agree with whether or not they're justified in whatever violence they do or do not partake in, right? You might question whether or not what they did was okay, and that's fine. You could have that discussion, but if you're gonna bring somebody on who's been through it, and you're gonna bring somebody on who had to make those difficult decisions, and you're gonna bring somebody on and praise them for making those decisions, and then shut them down when they start applying those principles to what's happening currently, to try and, like, oh, well, no, you can't say that, they're just gonna use it against you. It's like, yeah, you mean they're gonna try and silence people, and they're gonna try and silence women, and they're gonna try and say, well, you can't do or say that, and it's like, you're already calling me a murderer anyway. I don't know. I don't like the way this was handled by The View. I think it was pretty horrendous, and I think it was bad to treat her this way. Although I am a fan of, she's joking, she's kidding, and she just looks at them like, bitch, I ain't kidding. Alright, so let's move on from that one. I'd love to hear a little bit more of your thoughts. I'd like to have that conversation a little bit more down the line on a different show where there's like a couple people to give their opinions, because I think you'd be surprised at how quickly people are like, yeah, no, stealing's okay if I'm in this situation, or this is okay if I'm in this situation. Right? In Canada, there was somebody who was arrested for murder? Is it murder? I can't remember if it was murder or not. They were arrested because somebody broke into their house and the person in the house shot them. But yeah, she's not playing. And if you whitewash things and let people talk down to you about what are your options and what you can be, and they try to sterilize the conversation so much, it keeps any change from happening. So things like people complaining about CRT, if you try to rebrand and sterilize the conversation, just like that lady saying, oh, you can't teach ideas to your kids. The fuck do you mean? Or the people complaining about the fucking children's book that has democracy in it. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? A is for activism. I looked at the book. It's fine. It's an ABC book that you get to look for cats in. It's like, my God. Take down Gaslight. Yeah. All right, so this is, I guess there was some kind of conversation with Destiny and, I don't know who this is. We're gonna look at this. I only listened to, like, a portion of it, so I don't know what this is gonna hold, so, let's find out.
I don't think anybody wants to be a rapist.
What do you think is the leading cause of rape?
Girls not willing to be upfront with what they want at the beginning of an encounter. I would say for women, if you don't feel like you can say no in the moment, I would say put off like new sexual experiences until you feel like you can do that.
So yesterday I told you and Charlie that I was in Malibu on a date, and I said, I think you want to stop to try and kiss me, and I don't want to kiss you. And he's like, no, I'm not going to try and kiss you. And then we stopped, and he still tried to kiss me and got physical with me. And your guys' response was, well, now you planted it in his head, and he's going to think he thinks it's a game.
Because of how the culture exists right now, a girl might say, I've had a girl say this to me, where it was like, okay, we can do this, but we're not going to do anything sexual. Like,
Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna let this keep playing, and then we'll go through it bit by bit.
Something like that, and it ends up being like the fact that they even brought it up means that it might be something that they want to entertain in the future, but there's kind of like a weird game being played.
But even when I verbally say no, you guys are pointing to like the larger culture and saying like, well, there's these games being played. Mm-hmm. What autonomy do I have in that?
I mean, all you can do is like, you assert verbally, then you assert physically, and then if they keep pushing, then you walk away. That's all you can do, right?
I'm still trying to pinpoint exactly what your advice is to women, because I saw in a panel you were saying if a woman's not capable of verbally, and you specifically said verbally asserting a boundary, she should not be having casual sex. Mm-hmm. But now you're expecting women to not just be able to verbally assert their boundaries, but be comfortable in a situation where they're now being like physically dominated to now activate their fight or flight, which is a way higher demand than just saying I don't have sex tonight, which a lot of women do. And like you said,
Fight and flight are also not the only options. One of them is freeze. There's at least 3. I want to say there's 4. But fight, flight, or freeze are the main thing that I remember. I want to say there's a 4th one, but it's out of my brain right now. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there before I forgot.
Dominated to now activate their fight or flight, which is a way higher demand than just saying I don't have sex tonight, which a lot of women do. And like you said, guys keep pushing.
Okay, well, what's the alternative?
Putting more onus on men.
Really? We've been telling men don't rape and don't do this for a long time. Why would you send a woman
to say no, to not go to bars?
Yeah, but they don't. Right now, the cultural conditioning is that like it's expected for a woman to freeze up and just get raped.
So do you agree then that your advice of women just need to be better at verbalizing no is like insufficient?
Just verbalizing is not enough sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you have to like physically assert a boundary too, sure.
If that's how most rapes are taking place, women are already like suggesting implicitly or explicitly that they don't have sex and it reaches.
It's also implying that women don't fight back when they're getting raped. But okay. Huh?
Implicitly or explicitly that they don't have sex and it reaches the point where they then have to push it, then I don't think that's ignorance on the guy's part.
Well, it feels like you guys are like really obsessed with like, I want the guy to be like an evil rapist.
So let's say I'm the perfect woman at asserting boundaries verbally. Like I say, before I even go to a guy's house, I don't want to go to your house because I don't want you to think I'm having sex with you. He's like, no, we can just chill and watch a movie. Mm-hmm. And then we go and we continue to drink. What? What's so funny?
Why the fuck would you drink this much around a new person? That's so stupid.
Evil. He is evil. He doesn't
no, but I don't think.
I'm seeing fawn as an option, or faint as an option for the 4. Maybe there's 5. I don't know what is the difference between faint and freeze, but I'm not sure. Anyway, okay. So first thoughts initially. This woman has the patience of an angel. So, yes, good for them. She does a wonderful job at handling this in this clip, at the very least. I'm not sure how quickly this devolved. I would have lasted about 30 seconds. I would have made it I would have let this dude talk for like a minute and I'd been like, welp, yikes, bro. So let's start taking this like piece by piece, just little bits at a time, because there's a lot to unpack here.
Anybody wants to be a rapist.
What do you think is the leading cause of rape?
I don't think anybody wants to be a rapist.
What do you think is the leading cause of rape?
The fuck does he think rape is? You think that kids just grow up one day and just be like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? A rapist! It almost seems like it's immediately taking onus off the person doing the crime, right? Like immediately, like right out the gate. Because if you say, I don't think anybody wants to be a racist, a rapist, you're implying that there were circumstances outside of their control that caused them to behave in whatever way that they did. Right? That's the implication. Well, they didn't want to rape you. They didn't want to be a rapist. They just didn't have any other choice. That's just the way it went. So, like, just write out the... You're gonna need a moving company to unpack this. The premise is already fucked out the gate. Right? Like, we understand that the premise is initially just boned. Right? It's already hedging bets on one side. It's not even a great premise to begin with. Okay.
Girls not willing to this.
What do you think is the leading cause of rape?
Girls not willing to be upfront with what they want at the beginning of an encounter. I would.
The main cause of rape is women not being upfront, right? Okay, so please keep this in mind. Women not being upfront initially or about what they want in an encounter he thinks is the leading cause of rape. All right, I'm gonna hit play again because I think this takes a heel turn.
Say for women, if you don't feel like you can say no in the moment, I would say put off like new sexual experiences until you feel like you can do that.
So yesterday I told you and Charlie that I was in Malibu on a date and we stopped and he still was, well, now you play a game.
We're not going to do anything. The culture exists right now.
In his head, and he's going to think he thinks it's a game.
Because of how the culture exists right now, a girl might say, I've had a girl say this to me, where it was like, okay, we can do this, but we're not going to do anything sexual. Like something like that. And it ends up being like, the fact that they even brought it up means that it might be something that they want to entertain in the future, but there's.
So now he's saying that even if a woman is upfront, it's not good enough, and that they're going to have to get physical. So now we're coming to a conclusion that is essentially, if you're not physically capable of fighting off any man in this, that your potential, like any potential dating situation or at the bar. So basically, if you're not physically capable of fighting off any man, you can't go to the bar, you can't date. Fucking what? He thinks unless a girl says I don't want to have sex, then she definitely does. Well, there's also this that no, even if she's saying she doesn't want to have sex, that still means that she might want to have sex in the future. Because she brought it up, even though he was asking women to be more upfront initially. Hey, it's a first date. I'm not interested in having sex on a first date. Well, now you brought up sex, so maybe she's going to want to have sex on the second date. Okay. I don't want to have sex with you. I just want to go on a date and get to know you better. Oh, so maybe if she gets to know me well enough, maybe we'll have sex in the future? Is this actually the way men think? I feel like this is giving a discredit to men. Like, this seems insulting to men. Men, hello. I'm going to talk to you guys for a second. There's a few of you out here. I assume that some of you in the audience are men. Is this how you think? Like, I would suspect it's not. I would suspect that most men do not, in fact, think this way. That men are capable of communicating. There are 100% times where someone... sorry, this is from Fred. I'm just catching up on comments. There's 100% times where somebody raped a person and fully intended to and sought them out a place to stalk and find a victim. This is bullshit out the gate. I don't think anyone wants to be a thief when they totally go out of their way to steal things. Anyone wearing a football jersey, I tackle immediately. He was asking for it. Look at how he was dressed. Could I please smite him mightily? I ain't gonna stop you. He does not speak for me. It is most assuredly not. No. Okay, yeah, so yeah, men don't generally speak or think this way. Okay, noted. Now I will take into account that my audience is relatively small. This has 1.2 million views on this clip. Sorry, 5.4 million. So I'm not gonna say that I have anything special to add to this with our numbers here, but okay. Holy guacamole, Batman. Is any... Okay. Do you think this person has spoken to a rapist? Like, do you think they've, like, gone and done an interview with a rapist, or looked at interviews, or looked at, like, tapes, or done any reading up on like, Psychology Digest, or anything like that? I feel like I'm gonna end up looking at this clip again at the end of the month. I think we're gonna bring this one up again. I think. Methinks. Alright, I'm gonna put this back. Well, actually, I don't think I need to. I think we got what he said, so I'm gonna keep playing it from here.
It's kind of like a weird game being played.
But even when I verbally say no, you guys are pointing to like the larger culture and saying like, well, there's these games being played. Mm-hmm. What autonomy do I have in that?
I mean, all you can do is like, you assert verbally, then you assert physically, and then if they keep pushing, then you walk away. That's all you.
Yeah, just walk away from the rapist. So people who were raped didn't walk away, or didn't get physical, or didn't say no, and were raped anyway because... why? This is... oh boy.
You can do, right?
I'm still trying to pinpoint exactly what your advice is to women, because I saw in a panel you were saying if a woman's not capable of verbally, and you specifically said verbally asserting a boundary, she should not be having casual sex.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be acceptable if I just, like, instead of verbally saying no, I just punched you in the face? That would count as like, physically asserting a boundary? Like, anytime you got, like, in a location? Because I've had men come on to me, and them take my no as a yes to then push further, and then had to be physical with them because they would not stop touching me. Like, that's a thing that happens. This happened to me in high school. Like, this is not... I wouldn't even call it an unusual occurrence. I don't like being touched at all, for the most part. Like, I don't usually even like hugging people that are even family members, because it just makes me uncomfortable. It's just not... I've gotten better at it over the years, but it's just not... And that's a thing that I've personally worked on to change, not that anybody's forced me to. That's on me. But... like, in the situation I was in, I had a boy. We were teenagers. I had a boy come up to me and put his arm around my shoulder and kind of, like, hang his arm across. And, he was like, oh, hey, I'm looking to do this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, Nothing sexual. He was talking about like getting a bus pass or something. And I was like, you need to move your hand before I do it for you. And he took that as an opportunity to play these games, to play these word games. So he started rubbing my arm. And I was just like, no. So I kind of leaned forward a little bit off to the side, and I put my hand in my other hand, and I reeled backwards into his slightly right of the solar plex and gave him a nice good pop. So that was imposing a physical boundary. Now, I had a bit of a reputation in high school, and I was relatively untouchable. I think in high school I was only ever asked out, like, twice. Once was somebody outside of the school who didn't like that. I would call that a separate matter. So I think there was only actually one person. And I didn't like the way I was treated in high school was questionable at best. And part of that comes from my attitude of stay the fuck away from me. I think that's just pretty fine. But not every young girl is okay with that. And many young girls are not conditioned to be okay with that, of having those kinds of reputations or having those kinds of encounters. I shouldn't have to basically physically assault someone to get them to stop touching me. Like, it shouldn't be that complicated. And needless to say, he doubled over and I walked away, and I got snide looks, and of course, like, I'm the asshole, and like, yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't fucking care. But not everybody's gonna be okay with that. Not everybody's gonna be strong enough to do it. So and like, maybe that was a learning experience for him. Maybe it wasn't. He barely talked to me ever again after that, and I am totally comfortable with it. Good. Don't. So what happens when it's somebody that you are interested in? Right? You're interested in this person, and then they're pushing things a little too far, and you have to get physical. Then what? How is a woman supposed to express that they're interested in you, but they're not sure yet? They're like, hey, you know what? I'm interested. Let's get to know each other a little bit, and then see where it goes. He's saying that this is setting up a scenario where like, you're setting yourself up to get raped. Right? Like, that's what he is suggesting. Am I wrong in that interpretation? Because, like, what else happens? How about just don't touch people? I don't understand why that's such a big deal. Like, you got your Vic Mignognas, you got your fucking, I guess, Destiny, being like, oh yeah, we're just touchy. And it's like, don't touch people. Unless they say, hey, yeah, touch me. Or you say, hey, can I touch you? And they say, yeah, okay. Then you can touch. Look with your eyes, not with your hands. And even then, if you're being weird about the way you're looking at people, stop being fucking weird. Did somebody invite you? No? Fuck off. Like, you can look at people, but if you make it their problem, that's a you thing. What the fuck? It's not rape, Your Honor. She didn't shoot me in my vital area. Alright, I'm gonna put this back. I almost feel like we need to start. I need to listen to this again.
I don't think anybody wants to be a rapist.
What do you think is the leading cause of rape?
Girls not willing to be upfront with what they want at the beginning of an encounter. I would
Girls.
say for women, if you don't feel like you can say no in the moment, I would say put off like new sexual experiences until you feel like you can do that.
So yeah.
How are you supposed to learn and get better at it, and how is that supposed to apply across the board? Because there's a difference between being in a scenario. Sorry, I should put this back on screen. There's a difference between being in a scenario, right, and not feeling comfortable to say no to this particular person, that came up to you at the bar, because they're not talking about in every scenario is somebody you've already agreed to meet up with, right? If you go to the bar, it's possible that or a dance club or grocery shopping or thrifting, or you're gone out to lunch at a coffee shop. If you've left your house and you're not on the internet, then it's possible that somebody could come up to you and say, hey, like, you seem, I kind of saw you cross the way, and I kind of thought you were cute. I was wondering if I could get your number, or whatever the fuck. And if you aren't able to say, no thanks, I'm not interested, at that very moment, you shouldn't be having casual sex. Well, apparently I shouldn't leave my fucking house, because that's a thing that can happen in my house. Doesn't that take all the onus off of men? Yes. Yes, it does. What about the complete opposite? Boys that go oversensitive in respecting boundaries, you know, those hover arms. Oh, the hover arm. I don't mind hover arms when you're unsure. Like, you're talking about, like, pictures of Keanu Reeves. I think for Keanu Reeves, it's the best thing you can do. Especially, like, if you're a famous person, don't touch anybody ever. Like, it sucks, but, like, just don't touch anybody ever. Get a contract. He's talking like all rape happens between a guy trying to date a girl and isn't for a moment considering any other situation. Yes. Chesh, I will never hug you, even though that thought is sad to me. Listen, if you want a hug from me, if you ask, I will tell you if I am okay with it or not, and then we'll go from there. just don't touch me. Don't touch. We do high fives. It's just this is bizarre, because like, well, you shouldn't have casual sex if you can't say no to people while you're looking for casual partners. And no, it shouldn't be that complicated, right? And I don't mean complicated as in difficult, I mean complicated as in there's more than one way to say no, right? You know what I mean? So, like, I can say no to somebody without saying no thank you or no I'm not interested, right? You could go the hedging your bets thing of like, oh, I'm not interested yet, I want to see where this goes first. Or you could do something along the lines of just never responding to the person ever again. And, like, the thing is that he says something about with the way the culture is, and it's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, that women are now allowed to say no, that they have some kind of bodily autonomy? But except in the scenario he's presenting, women don't have bodily autonomy, because even if they do say no, the man is just now expecting something down the line, and so you're fucked either way. You don't have any other option except don't leave your house literally ever, and that's just not functional. You can get hit on at work. That's a thing that happens.
I would say put off like new sexual experiences until you feel like you can do that.
So
how do you put off new sexual experiences if people don't take no for an answer and you have a hard time saying no? You don't get to put anything off. Apparently I need to sit down with this man.
Yesterday I told you and Charlie that I was in Malibu on a date, and I said, I think you want to stop to try and kiss me, and I don't want to kiss you. And he's like, no, I'm not going to try and kiss you. And then we stopped, and he still tried to kiss me and got physical with me. And your guys' response was, well, now you planted it in his head, and he's going to think he thinks it's a game.
Because of how...
No, it's your fault. Because you read that guy's intentions, and then he lied to you and said, no, that's not what I was doing. And then you accepted his lie, because that's your fault for being lied to. That's definitely your fault, not his fault for lying. Now he thinks you're playing some kind of game, and you've planted it in his head as if he wasn't thinking about it already. Is he seriously claiming that the guy who was coming on to her and that she was reading the signs off of didn't have the idea of kissing her at all initially? What? Fucking what?
how the culture exists right now, a girl might say, I've had a girl say this to me, where it was like, okay, we can do this, but we're not going to do anything sexual. Like,
yeah, that's a boundary line. Different people have different boundary lines for what they're comfortable with doing with somebody sexually, right? So some people might be okay with kissing. Kissing doesn't mean they're okay with sex. So people might be okay with oral sex, but not okay with, like standard sex. People might be okay with standard sex, but not like doggy style. You can have boundaries within the sphere. Is he 12? Sir, I'm sorry, excuse me. Are you suggesting that if a woman says yes to a date, she is saying yes to sex in the future? Because of this game that you've invented in your brain? Because it's like, I'm okay with doing this, but I'm not okay with that. Also, yeah, why did he touch her? Stop touching people. Does she seem like she wants to be touched? Do you know how to read body language, dude? If you put your arm around me and I allow that, that does not mean that I'm going to be okay with whatever next step you feel like you want to take. And that's part of the difficulties of dating. Now, I'm not going to say that shit is easy. It's difficult to read people, but you need to get to know them. That's the point. You're not going to be able to read somebody right the fuck away, right? And so because you can't read somebody right away, you need to be tentative about the steps that you're taking to understand what they're going to be comfortable with and what they're not. And sometimes that requires verbal confirmation, and sometimes it doesn't. It's going to depend on the people, right? So if somebody puts their arm around me and I'm like, okay, this is fine, or if I shrug them off, I have done a physical no without a verbal one. Go figure, right? But if I try and shrug you off and you don't go anywhere and you persist and I tell you get the fuck away from me and you still persist and try to go further, I'm the asshole. At what point in this scenario where you randomly came up behind me and did this thing because you were talking to another friend of yours and using that as an excuse to fucking touch me, and then you don't back off when I shrug you off and you persist and then persist and then persist, I'm the asshole. Apparently. What the fuck? God, I'm just gonna get I'm gonna put clown hand tasers under all of my clothing everywhere. Don't touch people. Why is this fucking so hard for some people? Jesus Christ.
Like something like that, and it ends up this, but we're not going to.
Sorry, I lost track of what I was saying. I'm gonna touch your shoulder, we're gonna kiss, but we're not gonna do anything sexual. Yeah, okay, that's a boundary. Done. That's not a problem. Why are you presenting that that's a fucking problem? So her being straightforward, that thing you were asking for at the beginning, when you said, hey, women need to be more upfront with what they want initially, and this woman says, hey, I'm okay with this, but we're not going to do anything sexually, you're viewing that as a problem. So pick a lane. Make up your fucking mind. Is that what you want, or is that not what you want? When's the onus on you to pay the fuck attention and not touch people when they don't want to be touched? Jesus Christ.
Do anything sexual, like something like that. And it ends up being like the fact that they even brought it up means that it might be something that they want to entertain in the future, but
no, it's not. If I say, no, I'm not interested in having sex with you, that is not me saying I'm entertaining having sex with you in the future. It means I'm not interested in having sex with you right now. Although I do like the idea that you threw in the right now. The fuck? Girls are supposed to submit. Pick your level of submission. You don't even get to pick your level of submission because this guy's like, oh, well, if you say okay to this, now you're planting this in my head. As if you weren't thinking about it already, you fuck. Women existing implant the idea of sex in men's mind. How dare you exist, woman? Girl, I mean, because I don't call people women or adults. Ugh.
It's kind of like a weird game being played.
But even when I verbally say no.
Bro, you're the only one playing a game because you can't handle rejection of any kind, of any variety. You can't handle a boundary line viewed as a personal rejection, so because you can't handle that, you interpret it as a back and forth game where they're going to say yes if you do things right. or if you play things in the right way. Bro, that is fucked up. That is uber duper super duper fucked up. My god.
A weird game being played.
But even when I verbally say no, you guys are pointing to like the larger culture and saying like, well, there's these games being played. What autonomy do I have in that?
I mean, all you can do is like, you assert verbal.
You don't have any autonomy in his framework. You do not. There is none.
I have in that.
I mean, all you can do is like, you assert verbally, then you assert physically, and then if they keep pushing, then you walk away. That's all you can do, right?
I'm still trying to pinpoint exactly what your advice is to women, because I saw on a panel you were saying if a woman's not capable of verbally, and you specifically said verbally asserting a boundary, she should not be having casual sex.
What's your advice for women? Never leave the house. Don't talk to anybody. Yeah. Girl, run. Yeah, right?
But now you're expecting women to not just be able to verbally assert their boundaries, but be comfortable in a situation where they're now being like physically dominated to now activate their fight or flight, which is a way higher demand than just saying, I don't have sex tonight, which a lot of women do. And like you said, guys keep pushing.
Okay.
He's literally asking women to just be physically stronger than any man that they may encounter in their life that they don't want to be sexual with. That's what he's asking for. Destiny's advice: only leave the house with a male protector and wear a burqa to not plant ideas in men's heads. He's pushing for a Handmaid's Tale future where men pick out women and the women submits regardless because they should just be happy to have been chosen. Ew. I mean, I don't know if that's what he's getting at because I haven't watched like this whole interview, but apparently I'm gonna need to. Oh boy, I'm gonna need a drink. That's what I'm gonna need to do.
And then just saying, I don't have sex tonight, which a lot of women do. And like you said, guys keep pushing.
Okay, well, what's the alternative?
Putting more onus on men.
Wow. You mean not treating men like they're just fucking animal monkeys and that they can learn to, that they can communicate and that they have thoughts and feelings and that they can express those thoughts and feelings without raping people? What the what is this? What am I looking at? What am I listening to? What is happening? Is Destiny just hanging out with Jordan Peterson? What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't understand. I can't, I cannot, I do not. How about we just treat people like they're people and we teach children to treat others well and how to communicate. And so if we learn to communicate with each other and not treat women and like they're objects or treat women like they only matter because of the men in their life, or that they're you know not an alien species or an animal, they're just people, and that men are people and all have thoughts and emotions and feelings about a situation, that you can it sounds like he's giving advice in case of a bear attack. Stand your ground and yell. Bring a pot and pan with you and a noisemaker. Maybe they'll go away. One of the things women do is their safety in numbers. So women will go out in groups and then men are like, why do women go to the bathroom all in a group? To stay away from you. To stay away from you. To stay safe from you. That thing you're mocking them for is to keep themselves safe from men. That's why women all go to the bathroom in groups. You get taught this at a very young age. Don't go to the bathroom by yourself. Because then you get caught in between your friends and the bathroom and all that space in between where you can just get gotted. Women are objects and men are monsters. This is apparently the thought process that we're in right now, and I think that is the core of what we've unpacked here. That this is this guy's opinions. His opinion is that men are monsters that have no control over themselves at any capacity, and anytime they do anything, it's because they've been provoked, and women are objects that do the provoking by existing. When Destiny finds out that women can rape a man, his brain will explode. Yeah, we're talking about, this is very narrowly talking about men on women assault, not women on men assault, which is absolutely a thing. His opinions are shit. Yeah, opinions can be wrong, go figure. Who'd have thought? I would be curious to know if Destiny has ever read a book or done any research about the thought process of a rapist. Because it's not like they don't have thoughts or feelings either. They're just... what do I do?
Really? We've been telling men don't rape and don't do this. Okay, well, what's the alternative?
Putting more onus on men.
Really? We've been telling men don't rape and don't do this for a long time. Why would you send a woman...
to say no, to not go to bars.
Yeah, but they don't. Right now...
We've been telling men to do this for a long time. Yeah, and the consequences are inconsistent and a lot of times a slap on the wrist. So maybe be consistent. And maybe actually treat it seriously. And maybe actually treat rape as rape and not blame victims for it and actually blame the rapist for it. And so that way, that gets... maybe society will take it more seriously instead of your shit-ass argumentation, which is real big bad. But his response to seems to be that men are incapable. They're incapable of not doing this thing. They're incapable of learning. They're incapable of any of they're incapable of not being provoked. Like, they can't, they'll always be provoked. And so, because no matter what we do in society, they'll always be provoked, women just have to operate around that as if it is a fact. And so then I wonder, like, why do we put men in charge of everything if they're so fucking incapable and incompetent and immature that they're basically, again, just monsters or incontrollable animals? Like, my dog doesn't bite me because I've trained my dog in a way that means he does not bite me. So, apparently men are less capable than a dog for learned behaviors? There are women who do play games like that, yes. I'm not going to say that there are not women who do not play games. There absolutely are. There are men who don't play games as well. There are men who don't think like this. There are men who are perfectly decent members of society. And I do not think that men are rapists. I don't think that because you're a man, therefore. No, I think you're all perfectly capable of making decisions and that you can be held responsible for those decisions. So I don't know... the same way any woman is an individual, there are predators within women, there are predators within men. Alright? You're just not inherently one or the other because you're one or the other, or neither, or both, or wherever you fall on that spectrum. I'm not going to sit here and say that because you are bisexual, you're going to cheat. That's absurd. I'm not going to sit here and say because you're bisexual, you're not going to cheat. Because you're an individual. And nothing about your sexuality, nothing about your gender identification, nothing about your likes or dislikes, your personal likes or dislikes, like whether you like vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream or sherbet ice cream, is going to prevent you from being an asshole. And being an asshole transcends all of these things. Date this guy, I'll lend you my widow hatchet. You want me to date Destiny? Okay, well, first off, we're gonna have to fix his posture. Look at the way this man is sitting. Very beta. Very beta. I'm teasing. Don't get mad at me. Debate bro culture. I don't care. Actually, do get mad at me. Come at me. If you're a fan of Destiny and you have reasoning or about what the fuckery is going on here, and maybe this is taken out of context, I've missed something. I want to go, now that I've seen this clip together, I want to see the whole thing. So I'm going to go watch the whole thing at a later date. But if this is way out of context or something, unless he's being sarcastic or he's talking about some kind of hypothetical, this don't look good.
Now the cultural conditioning is that like it's expected for a woman, but they don't. Right now the cultural conditioning is that like it's expected for a woman to freeze up and just get raped.
So do you agree then that your advice?
It is? Where's he pulling that from? I mean, I've heard Destiny is very good at like pulling statistics. So yeah, I do know that there are people who will freeze to prevent the rape from becoming more violent, or that's just their reaction. But that is not certainly all of the... If he's talking about conditioning and societal conditioning, he's talking about what women are taught. Whether they're taught to run, to fight, to do this or that. I will say probably the two biggest pieces of advice I ever heard growing up was aim for the balls and punch with your keys. So if you have keys on you, you put them between your fingers and you punch with your keys. Those are the two pieces of advice that I got if I were to ever get in an altercation, that's what I should do in that case. I certainly didn't freeze up and just kind of let that guy keep like rubbing my arm and doing whatever the fuck. I don't know what that would have escalated to had I not done anything. It may or may not have gone further. I can only assume that it would have continued and would have gone more and more. Yeah, walk with your phone in your ear and pretend to be having a conversation. Yep, that would prevent the physical part. So, yeah, there's plenty of advice that like leading up to that physical altercation where somebody's like on top of you. Women shouldn't have to feel like they need to. Well, yeah, there's... Come and join us for that time of the month. There's definitely where we have these kinds of conversations a little bit more. We're having another one of those soon at the end of this month, and come and join us for that, where maybe we'll talk a little bit about this. We talk about different things all the time. So join us. We'll see what we're talking about. And so like if women have been taught all this time about ways to prevent rape and protect themselves from assaults and things like this, and that's not working, and men are being told, well, just don't rape, how long have men been being taught that comparatively to make that large of a social and that cultural shift that he's talking about? And secondly, so nobody does anything? Because it's not like we don't already tell women not to go to bars. We already tell them not to dress a certain way. We already tell them not to go to the bathroom alone. We already tell them to have your phone to your ear if you're walking. We already tell them don't walk by yourself at night. We already tell them to check the backseat of your car before you get into it. We already tell them to hit with your keys, aim below the belt. We already, like... There is... many a story of eye contact, of women making eye contact with each other, and a woman who has never met this other woman comes up to their friend, puts their arm on them and says, like, around their arm, like hooks around their arm, and is like, oh, I was waiting for you to come, oh, thanks so much, and then takes them away and helps them get away from the man that they're talking to, because the man that they're talking to won't fuck off. It's really not hard to tell when people are uncomfortable around you, or like are not capable of saying no to you. All you have to do is pay the fuck attention. You learn the language. But the thing is, it's not about learning the language. They either don't want to learn, or they're already predisposed, or they can't handle rejection, that they view rejection as a game. No doesn't really mean no. I'd hate to have lost an opportunity to fuck because I misread a no as a real no when it was a play no. You could always just double check, right? You could just say, you could just ask. You say, are you really meaning no, or are you meaning like, yeah, no, not really, no, and just ask them. Right, yeah, Generic makes a good point. I never had to teach a male student don't rape. I taught them personal space, mutual respect, and communication. It's not hard. My students were 3 and they understood. Wow, go figure. Who'd have thought?
Advice of women just need to be better at verbalizing no is like insufficient.
Just verbalizing is not enough sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you have to like physically assert a boundary too, sure.
If that's how most rapes are taking place, women are already like suggesting implicitly or explicitly that they don't have sex and it reaches the point where they then have to push it, then I don't think that's ignorance on the guy's part.
Well, it feels like you're like...
I think she's right. That is, she doesn't even have to say I feel like it. No, that is not. If you say no and they keep going, so much so that you have to physically shove them away from you, that man is not, that is not ignorance on his part. That is purposefully ignoring your boundary line. She is 100% correct here.
That's ignorance on the guy's part.
Well, it feels like you're like, you guys are like really obsessed with like, I want the guy to be like an evil rapist.
So
why is that the response to it's not ignorance on his part? Why is he jumping to this like extremist idea? Like clearly he's not talking to her, because that's not what she said. She didn't say anything along these lines up to like, and again, this is clipped. Maybe she said something beforehand, but he's saying this in response to her saying, I don't think it's ignorant. I don't think it's ignorance on, it's not just an accident on the guy's part when you say no and he keeps coming on to you so much so that you have to physically push him away. Because that's, I agree. He's getting defensive. Yeah. So what? Oh, you just want, women just want men to be evil rapists. No, Destiny. You want men to just be evil rapists because you're the one saying that they have no self-control. You're taking every single bit of onus off of what, and all autonomy off of men entirely to say that it's because a woman did this. It's because a woman existed in a bar. You just want all men to be evil rapists. She is not treating all men as if they're evil rapists. Destiny is. He's talking about them like they're like that. He's saying women need to do this, 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 and this, and some of them are self-contradictory to avoid being raped by a man who, didn't even really want to be a rapist. He never wanted to be. Bro. You should never have to rely on physically pushing someone away. If I say no several times and I'm gradually getting more pissed, you didn't take the fucking hint. Yup. You got it. 83.7% of all statistics are made up on the spot. Destiny, she said sex. I don't remember the context.
Let's say I'm the
like, I want the guy to be like an evil rapist.
So let's say I'm the perfect woman at asserting boundaries verbally. Like I say, before I even go to a guy's house, I don't want to go to your house because I don't want you to think I'm having sex with you. He's like, no, we can just chill and watch a movie. And then we go and we continue to drink. What? What's so funny?
Why the fuck would you drink this much around a new person?
Because it shouldn't matter. Drinking doesn't mean have sex with me. I drink all the time. I do not nearly fuck as much as I drink. Why do women have to not do something for men to... I think Feline puts it well. You need to do this. Heck, they don't. Heck, they don't. You just need to keep your hands to yourself. Right. Me drinking doesn't mean you can touch me. That is a separate activity. These are different activities. Me deciding to go out drinking with you doesn't mean you can touch me. These are separate activities. I can go on a date with you. That does not mean you're okay to touch me. These are separate activities. I can go and hang out at your house. That doesn't mean I want to have sex with you. These are different activities. And if I tell you I do not want to have sex with you, me drinking at your house when you said, yeah, no worries, we're just going to hang out, me drinking at your house doesn't suddenly mean what I said before is negated. I already told you, according to the hypothetical, perfectly in a verbal way that you could understand that I was not interested in having sex with you. And then I go into your house. Whether I drink or not has nothing to do with the fact that we already agreed that we're not having sex here. Period. And if we can't have a lucid conversation, which we know we can't in this hypothetical because we've both been drinking, there's no negating that sober decision. Just accept that some people don't want to fuck you, dude, and it doesn't matter what you do. They still don't want to fuck you. You could do it, you could treat them the best. It doesn't work like that. It's not like, oh, if I follow this person's particular rules and I figure out what their rules are, I can just finagle my way into fuck. No. Women are people, and sometimes people do not want to fuck you. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this Destiny's the guy. I'm gonna drink after this. Then I may or may not have sex. I can make that decision after I've been drinking, depending on how much I drink. And depending on what relationship I may or may not have with the person I decide I'm going to have sex with. Who am I kidding? I'm just gonna drink. Alone and sad. Maybe I'll play some League of Legends just to be more sad about it. Actually, I was thinking about playing Minecraft Dungeons later tonight. Not having sex because of the period is a fair reason, but I think they would assume it would be okay if for some reason when there is no period /s. You don't need an excuse to not have sex with somebody. If you don't want to have sex with them, you don't have to have sex with them. You don't need to justify or explain yourself. Especially if they're a random. Give Puck a boop. Oh, he's sleeping. He's right there. You can see a little bit of his floof. Hey, buddy. I will give him a consensual boop. Does it not matter how much both people have drinking at some time? Sorry. What? I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you're saying. I think it matters that people have been drinking. I think that's... I think that it matters... And in other cases, it doesn't. Right? Depending on how you're phrasing what you're asking. This is so complicated. As a man, I'm struggling to keep up. You're saying that no means no. What a novel perspective. Do all women have the same definition? Funny enough, no. No, they don't. Context matters, right? Context always matters. And so because context matters, the way somebody says something in different contexts, the words will mean different things, right? So if I say no, and I'm, like, being sarcastic, you're gonna be able to tell, hey, do you want another drink? No. As I hold my hand out for another drink, right? Like, do you want McDonald's? No, I don't want McDonald's. Big Mac. Chicken nuggies, right? Like, there's words are polysemous. They will not always mean the same thing in every single context. And so that's one of the fun things but awful things about words. It's like, believe it or not, people are malleable, right? And so because people are malleable, they're gonna have different shit going on. Make your sarcasm super obvious so it doesn't go over my head, otherwise I won't get you McDonald's. I mean, realistically, nobody should be eating McDonald's, let's be real here. I mean, if the guy is also ridiculously drunk, is there a point where you can say he actually couldn't consent either? Yes. Yeah. A man or a woman could both be in an inebriated point where neither of them could consent. Yes. And if it isn't obvious, there's this amazing new technology called a follow-up question. If you go into the, I think, Lord Magicus, I think you missed, were you here for the beginning of this? Tone plays into meaning tremendously. Yes. Yes, it does. Tone and context are both very important. Oh my god, there's a man in the chat that says, because I don't just assume hanging out with a woman and that woman drinking means they want to bang. I'm not a monster. Eat Wendy's, not McDonald's. I do like Wendy's more than McDonald's. Every time. I would always pick Wendy's over McDonald's. Every single time. The only thing that McDonald's has that I like that Wendy's doesn't have is their milkshakes. But Frosties are good, so that's, you know. And it's not like broken saucer ice cream machine all the time. You just got home. Okay, yeah. The context of this is... Watch it back. Watch it back. It's going to be easier if you just watch it back. Oh, hey, buddy. You want to boop on the snoot? Boop. Yeah, you got a snooter. You got a booper snooter. Okay, well, this is the end of this video.
That's so stupid.
He's evil.
I think that wraps it up pretty well. That's so stupid. This is stupid. Destiny, that's real fucking dumb and really fucking stupid. Don't treat people like that. Oh my fucking god. And I think there's like plenty of conversations you can have about consent and what does consent mean in here and what does it mean there and yada yada yada, and these are perfectly fine conversations to have, right? And when somebody says dumb shit like this, you just need to converse about it and talk about it and what it means and try to unpack this kind of absolute fucking nonsense. Wendy's left the UK when I was a teenager 20 years ago. Like it's gone? It doesn't exist? Canadian McDonald's ice cream machine works. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. The McDonald's ice cream machine is always broken, so if you go to Wendy's, you're going to get a Frosty, which is basically just soft serve ice cream. Alright. Okay. I'm going to get out of here. I get this. Oh yeah, if you're looking at chat and you're trying to see where somebody's chat is coming from, there's a purple icon beside your name if the chat is from Twitch, and there's a red icon if the YouTube icon comes up if it's coming from YouTube. Oh, thank you. My hair's getting... once I got this side cut again, it's sitting a little bit weird right here, but other than that, it just needs a little bit of training. Apparently, I can train my hair, but men can't learn to not... to keep their hands to themselves and don't look with your eyes, not with your hands. Don't touch people. And don't be weird if you're looking at people. Oh my god, it's not hard to not be fucking weird. Why do people make such a big fucking deal about just not being, like, it's not hard. It's not difficult to not stare at people. It's not hard to not touch people. You lose control of your hand and it's just like, whoops! Grab the ass! Like, what do you... Stop, don't, it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not this, like, oh, society is just socially expecting men and like, No, just, it's not hard. Are you over 12 years old? It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of practice. Jesus Christ. It should take no practice to keep your hands to yourself. It should take zero practice. Just don't. This isn't hard. This isn't difficult. Babies understand this. But it is hard to have mutual respect. I agree. That is but even if you don't respect somebody, don't fucking touch them! Fuck! Men boys grow up with a section of their lives where they're like, ew, don't touch girls. Girls have cooties. That's a thing that happens. They have no problem not touching women then. Fucking what a bizarre concept. It's almost like they've always been capable of doing this entire fucking time. Ah, my god. Babies do like to grab boobs. You're right. That's a good fair point. I retract. Babies are not so good at this. Toddlers not so good at this. Yeah, kids never respect boundaries. Yeah, respecting boundaries is something that does need to be taught. But as like an adult, this takes zero on anything. And respect is also complicated. Alright, we've been live for 2 hours. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for joining me. I hope you had fun with this omnibus of nonsense that we kind of went over today. I didn't know what to call this because, like, I don't know, random bullshit. This is fucking I'm gonna have to go find this whole Destiny video and go pick it apart with a toothpick because, like, what the fuck else am I gonna do? Thanks so much for coming, everybody. Greatly appreciated. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow. I'm almost at that 50 mark. So thank you so much if you joined us. If you remember, thank you so much if you super chatted. It was great to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the channel. Puck is whining at me. He's gotta go outside. And I gotta pee. So I guess I'm gonna go join him. Have a good day, everybody. Let me know if you want to watch me react to this entire Destiny video, probably with alcohol and maybe with friends, and we'll get that sorted. Have a good night. I'm gonna get out of here, and I will see you next time. Bye!